While everyone's waiting, I'm just going to pass around if anyone wants to write out if they're looking for a chavrusa and their name and their contact and ideal time, so I could be in touch.
Oh, there's already a booklet on the door?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You have that? Yeah? Oh, that's yours. Okay.
Booklets typically cover a whole month. This one they just put out right now just for that base.
Okay, good. It's wonderful. So first of all, this Shiur is the Ilu Nishma Shimon Yaakov and Zev Wolf and Shom Shalom Aliyah and whole family Shmoni Simcha Nachas and Bracha. I want to begin by thanking our dear friend Reb Shlomo Abrams for all the work that he's put into initiating this Gewaldige Seder Halimud. The strongest memories I have of my own learning was years ago when I was much younger, and I gave the daf. There was no daf HaShavua, it was the daf yomi. And I remember thinking during that time, I went through a cycle like that, and I remember thinking at the time, I really wish this would slow down a little bit, and I would have some time to chew the Masech, the way that we learned in yeshiva, and to go through the sugya with all of the brachas of the daf yomi, which are immeasurable, but the sweetness, the Maseches of being able to really acquire a Masechta and to understand the Masechta and to remember the Masechta. This is something which is absolutely gewaldig, and I hope that more people will take advantage of it. But I really, on behalf of all of us, a big yashakar for Shlomo for the Shtadlers and Mitzvah Shem Yishtat Nachas from the Limud from all of us and anybody with the chavrusa, Rav Shlomo said, that needs chavrusa, the people that might be interested, is very, very good. So, I want to give a little bit of an introduction to the Masechta, to understand the pnimius of what the Masechta is about. Now, you all know that in all chiyuvim of the Torah, really in Asay, and we'll see in Loisa Asay, everybody knows that there's a chakira throughout Shas about whether or not the Iker Chiyuv is on the person, the Gavra, or is the Iker Chiyuv not the act of the Gavra, even though the person himself has to do this, has to do the mitzvah, but is the Iker that a certain Maisa take place? So the question, the classic question is it a din in the Gavra, or is it a din in what? In the Chefza. The human being, the person, the Jew, has to do the mitzvah. We have to be involved in building the Beis HaMikdash, but the question is the Iker, what's the underlying siba, the underlying cause? Is it Hashem Baruch wants there to be a Beis HaMikdash in the world? Is it the Chefza of the Beis HaMikdash? Is that the Iker? Or is it that the person should be poil, that the Gavra should be poil to create this Beis HaMikdash? So for instance, just a couple of examples. When it comes to speaking about the Beis HaMikdash, when it comes to the mitzvah of achilas kodshim, of eating kodshim, is the ikar that the person, the gavra, is chayiv to eat the carbon, is chayiv to eat the kodshim, and the chiv is mutal is on the gavra, or do we say really that the ikar is that Hakadosh Baruch Hu wants that this chefza, this carbon, this chefza of kodshim, that it should be eaten? And the nafkim that we see that the Achronim discuss is, do you need a shiur of kezayis? By achilas kodshim, when it comes to the mitzvah of eating a carbon, do you need a shiur of kezayis? Or do we say that it's enough to have kolshu, just even a taste, just even a taste? Because if the chiyuv is a din in the chefza, if the chiyuv of achilas kodshim is a din in the chefza, that Hashem Baruch just wants that the carbon, there should be some eating of this carbon. So when it comes to the chefza, there's no shiur, there's no din of a shiur, there's no kazayis. Even if there would be a mashu that would be eaten from the carbon, from the chefts of the carbon, from the actual carbon, that would be accomplishing the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to this mitzvah of Achilas Kodshim. If we say it's a din in the chefza. However, if we say that the mitzvah of Achilas Kodshim is a din in the gavra, in the person, then we say, now we're talking about that there needs to be a Maaseh Achila on the part of the person, on the part of the gavra. And as far as the person is concerned, it's not considered to be a Maaseh Achila, it's not a choshev of Maaseh Achila, if it's less than a kazayas. So this is just an example. Here, the Beis HaLevi, and the Ohr HaSameach, and Reb Chaim, and the Brisker Rov are all talking about this, regarding this mitzvah of Achilas Kodshim. Or a more famous example, when it comes to the mitzvah of Biur Chametz, of getting rid of the Chametz. So, if the Chiyuv is on the Gavra, we say the Chiyuv is on the Gavra, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, is the Ratzon of the Torah, the Ratzon of Hashem, that the person should get rid. Biur means to get rid of. Like Biur Maisus, that the person should get rid of all the Chametz that's in his rishus, that's the Ikar Ratzon of Hashem, that's a din in the person, or do we say no? That the Ikar is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want there to be this chefza of Chametz in the world by Pesach. He doesn't want this chefza of Chametz in the world. And the nafkamina that this is actually a machlokes in the Gemara in Pesach Medav Chaf Aleph between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chacham, and the way the Reb Chaim Brisker understands it. If we say that the ikar is that it's a din in the gavra in the person, that the person shouldn't have any chametz in his rishus, then the ikar is that he should get rid of it. Whether he throws into a public lot, or he throws it into the ocean, whatever it is. The ikar is it's a din in the person to get rid of the chametz. They shouldn't have any chametz in his rishus. But if it's a din in the chefts of the chametz, so then we can begin to talk about if it's a din in the chefts of the chametz, it's shaykh to say that there's a certain particular geder of how that hashbasa should take place. It's not just I need not to have any chametz. If the chametz needs to be destroyed, so Reb Chaim explains, if the chametz needs to be destroyed, then we're talking already about possibilities of a particular type of hashbasa, whether it's by sreifa, or it could be mefaz baruach, or you could just throw it into the wind. So that's another example. So b'chlal we have this by many mitzvahs. For example, by hidur mitzvah. So when it comes to beautifying a mitzvah, hidur mitzvah, like we just have by the Araminim, when it comes to Zekel V'Amir, the mitzvah of hidur mitzvah, is the chiv on the person that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that each one of us should be mechabed a mitzvah. We should show certain kavod to a mitzvah, in order to show kavod to a mitzvah, to try to do it in a way that's muhuda, in a way that's beautiful. It's a din in the gavra. Do we say it's a din in the chefza? And it's a din in the chefza of the mitzvah itself. That the mitzvah itself should be that the chefza of the mitzvah requires or demands something which is more muhuda. And again, and the Rishonim Nachman talk about all kinds of nafkaminas that would be lahalacha. In the same way, we have this issue of chefza gavra when it comes to positive mitzvahs, the mitzvahs asay. We also have it when it comes to lois asay. So, for instance, there's a very famous hakira regarding isurim d'Rabbanan. All isurim d'Rabbanan. Do we say that every single issur d'Rabbanan cannot be anything more than the rotzen of the chacham, that the gavra, that the person should observe the will of the chacham? That was the chachamim. The Chachamim wanted to, for whatever their reasons are in each of those dinim d'Rabbanan, the Chachamim wanted that the person should do something or should desist from doing something. So it is a din, perhaps in the Gavra. All these isurim d'Rabbanan are a din in the Gavra. Or do we say no? It's possible. It's even possible. It's conceivable that the Chachamim have the ability to create an Isur Chefza, to actually impose their will to such a degree upon something in physical reality to say that this chefza is a chefza shel Isser. So this is a famous Hakir of Yosef Engel, who was just his yahrzeit yesterday, and Rabbi Chanavasim and others that you can talk about this. By all these Shem D'Rabbanan, how do we look in Isser D'Rabbanan? Does their power, does the Koch, the Chacham extend even to reality, ad kedei kach, that they could tell you that this chefza has now become a chefza shel Isser? Or is it just saying, no, really, B'etzem, this is a chefza shel Heter. Really, this is mutter. Just that we don't want you, the gavra, to eat this. So chicken and milk. What's the mitzias of chicken and milk? What is that? Is the chefza shel Isser? And there are many nafkaminis. The most obvious nafkamin would be is that if you eat something, let's say it's a meichel that's asur d'Rabbanan, does that have an effect upon you? We know that when it comes to eating tarfus chalil, something that's asur d'Oraisa, with his nisser basar v'chalav. But chefza is a chefza shel Isser, the meat, the milk, basar v'chalav, it's a chefza shel Isser. We know that in the Meisam Bam, the Gemara says, Al tikri b'nit Meisam, El v'nitamtam Bam, which means that it causes a dulling of one's spiritual senses. It has an effect upon your mind and your heart. It dulls the senses. It dulls one's spiritual senses. So why? Because there's a chefza basa b'chalav. It's a chefza of meat and milk. Can the Chachamim do that? Can the Chachamim create such a metzias that even that which is Nisa D'Rabbanan, which is the Torah says a mutter, can they create an Issa that is able to penetrate into the chefza itself and change the metaphysical reality of what that chefza is? So there are many discussions when it comes to all mitzvahs. All mitzvahs say, but Lois say is the ikar, the gavra or the chefza. Now this chiluk is not just found in the Rishonim and Achronim. Of course, it's found in Shas, but the father of all issues or all questions regarding chefza and gavra are the two Maseches, Nedarim and Shavuos, and the dinim of Nedarim and Shavuos. Because here we have the Gemara says beferish. If you already started learning, then you know that right on Amud Beis, by Beis Amud Beis, Aidi Ditana Nedarim the mitzvah chefza alei. The Gemara is trying to understand why is it that the Mishnah includes Nedarim and Charam, but what happens to Shavuos? Why not Shavuos? So the Gemara says the reason for this is Aidi Ditana Nedarim the mitzvah chefza alei. Since the Mishnah is already telling us the din of Nedarim, and by Nedarim the mitzvah chefza alei. Gemara says beferish by a neder it's an issa chefza. That by a neder mitzvah chefza alei. So tananam charamim. So then the Mishnah already tells us the din of charamim. Why the mitzvah chefza alei also? Because by a chem also it's nisr in the chayfetz. It's a din in the chefza. La fuke shvua, to exclude shvua, a shvua, the ka'asa nafshe min hachefza. The ka'asa nafshe min hachefza. Where the shvu is not a din in the object, it's a din in the person. The ka'asa nafshe, the person, the gavra, is not allowed to do this, and that's why, as we're going to learn throughout the Masechta, that for instance, when it comes to the way that a person is makabel a neder upon himself, or is a makabel a shvu, it's very very different. When it comes to a neder, so there. The nusach is kikar. He says kainem kikar zu alai. Kainem kikar zu alai. Now, this kikar, this chefza, this kikar, this loaf of bread, is also to me. It's a din in the chefza. That's the nusach when it comes to a neder. Mashenik when it comes to shvuot, then there shvuah shalei oichal kikar zu. I, the gavra, I am taking a shvuah. I am not going to eat this kikar. That's throughout the entire Masechta, all the Pratei Dinim, when it comes to Masechta Nedarim, revolve around this issue of defining the neder as being an Issa Chavza, and Masechta Shavuos is all about the halachas of Shavuos, and all the Pratei halachas when it comes to Shavuos revolve around this Hagdara that a Shavuah is not a din in the Chavza, it's not an Issa Chavza, it's the person himself making a shvua shloi oichal kikas. I will not do the following thing. Now, since we're beginning to learn Masechet Nedarim, so let's try to understand this on a deeper level. This inyan of the neder and the chefza of the neder. What we're learning here in Masechet Nedarim is that a person was given the kayach to create a metzias of Kedusha. Kedusha doesn't necessarily mean it's something which is holy, but it has to be treated in such a way, like Hekdesh, that a person has the ability to do such a thing, that he could take a certain chayfetz of this world that the Torah doesn't talk about at all, like a loaf of bread. Stam, a loaf of bread is nothing. And there's no issue in it. It's a regular, nice, kosher piece of loaf of bread. It can even be pas Yisrael, and it's not a problem with the loaf of bread. But somehow this person, through his dibur, has the ability to be matvis, to be able to change somehow this mitzias in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world, that it becomes like hekdesh, it becomes something which is also becomes hekdesh. And this is a remarkable thing. The beginning of this that we see, the first gilui of this that we see in Torah is by Yaakov Avinu. Vayida Yaakov neder leimer imi elokim imadi, and so on. V'shavti b'shalom avi savi. And then he says ve'evan hazayis asher samti matzeva ye beis elokim. Ve'evan hazayis. That Yaakov Avinu was Megala, that you're able to take Evan Hazais, you have to take a rock, and Evan Hazais, and to change this rock, this nice, harmless, innocent rock that wasn't bothering anybody, and you're able to change this into a tzias, that a person could do such a thing. So the Balatani Schus Elenu in Parshas Matos, in Likutei Torah in Parshas Matos, there's a whole arichus over there. There's really the whole inyan of a neder is Megalo the side of Chassidus, the whole avoid of Chassidus, and the Chiddush of Baal Shem HaKadosh. But the Tanya has an arichus there in Parshas Matos. So if you have a chance to look there and look at the Torah, and he explains over there. The Balatani explains that a person is able to be Megala the kedusha hane'elemes, the hidden kedusha in all that exists, and you hear that right away. That's the whole yisod of Chassidus. Because everything that exists has in it elokus. Because b'dvar Hashem shemayim nasru apiv kol tzevam, all that exists is elokus. It's just elokus is hidden. So a person comes and the person says, kikar zu, this kikar is a lie. This kikar kainim kikar zu a lie. I am somehow taking this plain loaf of bread and I have made it into something which has to be treated like hekdesh. How could a human being do such a thing? So the Torah says, because everything contains within it, everything is elokus. The avoid of a neder, which comes from a very high place, that's why neder, this one says, the Arizal said, is nun, dar, is the site of Chamishav nun, which comes from a very high place, Kessler, we're learning a little about in Chassidus, in the Sharagan. So a person is able to somehow to bring this about by accessing this koach that comes from a very high place, and Vayida Yaakov Ned, he's able to say heaven as ice, he's able to change this rock, to change it into something. He's not creating something new, he's being Megala, the true Atzim, he's being Megala, he's revealing the Metzias of what this rock really has in it. He really has within it this Kedusha. But until the person comes along and says, heaven has ice, it sits there like a regular rock. But Be'emes, it has in it the Kedusha of that comes from the highest place, of Elokus. In the Oisius of Breslov, so I'll read to you a paragraph from Reb Nosson in Likutei Halachos Hilchos Nedarim Beis. So over there in Beis Gimel, so he writes the following. Listen carefully to the words of Reb Nosson, because then we need to go back a little bit to Rabbi Nachman to understand what he's saying. So Rabbi Nosson writes the following. Again, it's in Nedarim Beis Gimel. He says the following. Nimtza she'inyin Nedarim hu. Rabbi Nosson writes, what's the inyan of Nedarim? Shemakasha hadavar, the person is makasha hadavar, he connects this loaf of bread or this rock, la'achiyas elokus, shu b'chinas ha-torah ha-ne'elemes, to the chiyas of elokus, to the godlichkeit, the elokus, the godliness. That's he calls b'chinas ha-torah ha-ne'elemes, the hidden Torah. We'll get back to that term. It's an interesting term, which is b'chinas ha-torah ha-ne'elemes, she'ne'elam b'chol davar. Rabbi Nosson says there's the Torah ha-ne'elemes, there's the Torah that is hidden. Everything is Torah. There's some Torah that's revealed, and there's some Torah that's concealed. So he says the Torah is ne'elemes b'chol davar, dahainu. Shemegala ma dahavi sosim. When the person makes a neder, Rabbi Nosson says, he is revealing that Torah ha-ne'elemes dahavi sosim, which until now, the Torah of this bread, the Torah of this rock was ne'elemes, was hidden. Shemegala shegam sham nelam or gadol, and the person who says these words is megala that even there, there's an or gadol, b'chinas ha-Torah ne'elemes. That's called the or of the Torah ha-ne'elemes. Now we'll see later, of course, in the Masechta why afapichin shomerach while he said Torah she'lo tida. There are reasons why it could be very, very dangerous. We're not going to go into that now. But in terms of looking at it, of what it really is, what's actually happening, so Reb Nosson says, the Megala shegam sham ne'elam or gadol b'chinas ha-Torah ne'elemes v'zaynas temizeh hadavar b'chinas Torah. So Reb Nosson says, and then what happens is that this rock or loaf of bread, in which the Torah was ne'elemes, now it's nasa mizeh b'chinas Torah. Now it's a Torah which is niglas. The Torah now is big. The Torah of this bread has now been misgal, has now been revealed. Sheyesh by mitzvah v'aveira. So there's either, depending on what kind of neder is, there's a mitzvah and aveira. Ki hu mechayv l'kaim adover. He's chayv to mekayim whatever the neder is with this particular object, with this chefza. V'os lo ilaver al hadover shenadar love, and he can't be over on. Notice this piece of bread is now telling you halacha. Until now, it's a piece of bread. And now this piece of bread is dictating to you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. It's a Torah limits. It's a Mordecai thing. It's the same Yisod as Alter Rebbe, but it's, again, the Isis of Rabbi Nachman. Nimsa shenas et Torah u'mitzvah mizeh hadavar shemetchila lo hay by shum mitzvah v'aveir. It was a harmless loaf of bread. There was no mitzvah, there's no aveir. And now all of a sudden there's this whole Torah about it. Aidei haneder shahoitzi mipiv. Shaidei zeh megalim adahavisasim. That through this koach of the peh, and that the Torah gave the person this ability to make a neder, he's megalim adahavisasim shemegala ha'lomas ha'torah sha'isn elemes sham. So, Rabbi Nosson is referring to Tinyana Yud Beis. For those who are learning Likutei Moharan, this is a very, very famous Torah. Tinyana Yud Beis, the second chelik of Likutei Moharan, Yud Beis, but there Rabbi Nachman talks about the Torah HaNelemes, the Torah that was before creation, the Torah how it is after creation, and there again it's a very, very difficult Torah, a very deep Torah. And one should take a look and to see Likutei Moharan Tinyana Yud Beis, and there Rabbi Nachman explains that all of creation is tak b'kudsha b'richa b'raisa. The world exists. The world was created. And the world exists because of the letters of the Torah, because of the Aleph Beis and the letters of the Torah. Is tak b'kudsha b'richa b'raisa bara alma. But Rabbi Nachman explains there's the bechina of the oisius that's nigla, that's revealed. So, for instance, we have oisias that tell us to put on tefillin, and we have oisias that tell us to keep Shabbos, oisias of the Torah that tell us to wear tzitzit, to build a sukkah, to blow shofar, and so on. Those are the oisias had-niglas of the Ratzon Hashem that are found with the 22 letters of the Aleph Beis and all the different sirufim and the way that's learned out in Torah Shalpeh and so on. But it's all those are the oisias that are niglas. But Rabbi Nachman speaks about the 2,000 years of tohu before the Torah began to be revealed. Actually, it began with Avraham Avinu, but with Matan Torah. But the 2,000 years that are called the Alpayim, the Shnei Alofim Toyu, that came before those oisias of the Torah, before we ever saw any such oisias, before there were revealed in the world the oisias of Ahoil Tafes Beni Necha. Before there were oisias, before we saw any oisias of Torah. So the whole question is, how did the world exist? If all of creation is because of the Torah and the oisias of Torah, so what was the world then? If there are no before the Torah was given, what was the world? How could there be a world without the oisias of Torah? So Rabbi Nachman explains that until Matan Torah, there were no oisias of Torah. The Torah did not exist bizgalia in a way that's revealed. So what was keeping the world going during the Shnei Lofim of Torah? So now everybody knows, the Mishnah says in Ovis, Vasor, Mamaris, Nivra Olam, the world was created with 10 utterances. So the nine of Vayom Elokim, the Yiraki of Vayom Elokim, here, Vayikar, it's all exist, all came into creation and all exists. And Malay Chalar is Kavaida. Through the oisias of the Mamaris, that's how it all came to exist. But the question is, what about where we don't have the Feirish oisias? So the Tanya talks about that also, the different sirufim of the oisias. But let's go further than that. Rabbi Nachman talks about what about a mokum tumah? What about avodah zarah? What about something which is the antithesis of kedushas HaTorah, of kedushas Hashem? What about tohu? Tohu, the world before the Torah was given. So Rabbi Nachman writes the following: Avalda, ki af al pi chein bevadai gam he mekabel chiyas mimenu yisbarach. Nothing can exist unless it's elokus, unless it contains elokus. It can't exist. So Rabbi Nachman says, Avalda, ki af al pi chein, even if something is a shtik tumah, it's a nevel, it's a treifa, it's an avodah zarah. Rabbi Nachman says, it must be that even this avodah zarah, even this thing in the bathroom, it must be that it's makabel chiyus mimenu yisbarach. Va'afilu mekaymas hamitunafim, or bate avodah zarah, even disgusting, dirty places, or bate avodah zarah, swichin gamkin lekabel chiyus mimenu yisbarach. Rabbi Nachman writes, they also have to receive chiyus. from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Achda, you should know. Kehei makablim mebchinas maimer chosum. So they are makabel their chiyas, not from the 9 mamaras of Vayom Elokim, Vayom Elokim, Vayom Elokim, but there it's open and revealed the Dvar Hashem. They are receiving their chiyas from maimer chosum, which Chazal say that Bereishis is the first of the 10 mamaras, even though it doesn't say Vayom Elokim anything. It just says Bereishis. Bereishis, Chazal say, is Nami Maimer. Bereishis is also Maimer. So it doesn't say over there. In other words, there, Hashem is hidden. In the first word of the Torah, Hashem is hidden. It doesn't say Vayom Elokim Yehi Olam. It doesn't say Vayom Elokim Barasias Olam. It just says Bereishis Bar Elokim. But it doesn't say a Maimer. It doesn't say a Maimer. And Chazal say that Bereishis Nami Maimer. Bereishis, the word Bereishis is itself a Maimer. It's called a Maimer Sosum. And Rabbi Nachman says, Kehei Makablam. So all these things, Avodah Zarah, whatever it is, all these other things in the world where we don't see Beferish, Elokus, or we don't have the Oasis of Torah, or it's the time of Tohu, before the Torah was given, and so on. He says, Kehei Makablam B'chinas Maimer Sosum, Shu Bereishis Maimer Sosum. Va'kovid Shal HaMaimer Sosum, Hu Sosum V'nelim B'tachlis HaHastorah. And in these things that are enlivened with that Maimer of Bereishis, the Elokus is very, very, very hidden. Very, very hidden. And these Batei Avodah Zarah, or the Tinuf of the bathroom, and all these other things, where there can't be, it's a piece of Tohu, where there can't be a clear and obvious presence of the Oasis of Torah. So how is it possible for this thing to exist? The Torah says it comes from that Maimer Sosum of Bereishis Bar Elokim, of the word Bereishis, the Maimer Sosum, which this is exactly what Rabbi Nosson is talking about. HaTorah HaNe'elemes. This is what's called HaTorah HaNe'elemes. So, Rabbi Nachman, and especially Rabbi Nosson, take this all a step further. It's not just a question of Avodah Zarah, or the tinuf, or the filth of the bathroom, and so on, or tohu. So Rabbi Nachman speaks about when a person himself, in his own life, is going through a certain tkufa, time in his life, and he feels that he's completely trapped in Tumah. In other words, the oisius of Torah in his life, the oisius haniglas of Torah, have sort of shut down because of the averos that he's done and because of the Messias that he's in right now. The regular Torah that comes from the 9 Ma'amaros, Rabbi Nachman says, are not working for him. They're just not. It's not going. Everything is black. Everything is shut down, and this guy is in a terrible place of tohu. So that's Rabbi Nachman's famous Torah. If a person screams out and says, Aye Mekoim Kevaydai, Aye, one of the main Torahs that we live with from Rabbi Nachman is Aye, and the person screams out, Aye Mekoim Kevaydai, he's able to be mizdabek to the or of the Torah and the Alemus, to the Maimer HaSosum, to the word Bereishis, which is before anything ever went wrong in the world. And the person is able to be mizdabek to that or of the Maimer HaSosum, the Torah and the Alemus, and Rabbi Nosson makes this connection, that is the shurish of the koch of a person to make a neder. To make a neder, to be able to be megala in a cheftza that is a piece of bread or a rock, some chefetz of this world that doesn't have, we don't see any particular isis, even though again this stone goes back to the mamaris of creation, which actually the Baal Time talks about. It actually mentions in Evan in Shayicha V'Emunah, because in the order of Alabase we see the isis of Alabase in the word Evan itself, but all that exists contains within it that Torah HaNe'elemes, and that means that even in something which has, it's either neutral like a loaf of bread or a rock, or even something which is in a place that's a darker place than that, since everything has within it this Elokus, has within Elokus from the word Bereishis, which the Maimer HaSosum. So Rabbi Nosson is explaining that because of that, a person is able to be Megala Hashem, no matter how dark your life is, no matter how miserable the situation is, no matter if you're stuck in a place of Avodah Zarah, no matter if you got your head in the baptismal font by the church, Chas v'Shalom, and a Jew sitting in such a place, he's able to scream out from that place, Aye Mekoim Kevaydai. So essentially what another means is that a person comes to this thing and he says, Aye Mekoim Kevaydai. And he says, Kainem Kikazu Alai, he's able to be Megal de Lakus in a way which is either by way of an Isser or by way of a Mitzvah. Doesn't make a difference, not going to that right now. But he's able to be Megal this Elokus because there is Elokus that's Tomnu Chaldov, that's hidden in every single thing. And not only that, we're not going to go to this right now, but actually it comes from the highest place, the highest iris, the in the darkest and lowest places. That's not for now, but the iris of Tohu that come from that place of Tohu, once they're rectified, once they're revealed, they're actually in a higher madrega than anything else that comes, because the Maimar Sosim is the highest. But Davke, this is the code that a person has. When it comes to a Shiur, that's something else. And that's what Maseches Shavuos is about. When it comes to a Shiur, that's a din in the Gavra. That's the din in the Gavra. But the person is mechayiv himself to do something or not to do something. That has to do with the neshama, with the fact that a person has within him a chelik no kamimal. The person has an nefesh elokis, and the person was created as a ruach mamalula, that Hashem infused within a person the neshama, and that infusion took place by the mouth, and the koach hadibur of a person is very, very powerful. And we see that even before the baby comes to the world, there's a shvur, because like we learn in Raisa, it's the beginning of in Nida, the beginning of Tanya, is mashbiyan isayti hitzad, mashbiyan. So the koach of a shvur comes from the neshama, and that's the holy name of the shvur. So by Matan Torah and so on, that comes from the highest part of a person, that comes from the koach hadibur of a person. So we can understand that a human being is able to, since a human being has this neshama, is an nefesh elokis, he's able to take a shvur b'shem Hashem. And that dibur has a tremendous taikif. That dibur of the person is very, very, very powerful, and he's chayiv to be mekayim what he said. With the dibur of a person, the dibur of a person that swore is coming from the neshama. He has a koach of dibur. When it comes to a chefsa, when it comes to a rock or a piece of bread, and it doesn't have within it this nefesh elokis. What it has is the Torah nelamis. It has Torah that's hidden in it, and that's really something else. That's the koach of Nedarim. This also is why. The Svarma Kedoshim tell us that we see that chefza garva, chefza is gvura, and chefza rather is the din in the gavra, and gavra is the lashon of gvura, right? Chefza is din in the chefza means the din in the chefza. There's chefza gavra. So chefza is chesed. The Svarma said, I'm sorry, I didn't say clear. Chefza is a din in the chayfetz, and gavra is a din in the gavra. And the Svarim say that it's chesed and gvur. Ki chafetz chesed hu, Hashem is chafetz chesed, and chefsa therefore is a din in chesed, and gavra is a lashon of gvur, and that's the koach of gvur. I'm not going to go into that at all now. That's a separate conversation. What does chefsa and gavra? Ki chafetz, Hashem is chafetz chesed. The chefsa has to do with the midah of chesed. And gavra has to do with the midah of gvur. There's also the difference between a woman and a man. That the isha karka oilam is in the chefza. It's chayfetz, ki chafetz chesed, and gvur, and how this works, the interaction between men and women. That's for a different conversation. And b'chlal, why is it that it's very interesting that this is also another conversation? Why is it that Nedarim is in Seder Noshim? Why is it in Seder Noshim? And the whole way that Kedushin takes place. The way Kedushin takes place. What's the lashon of Kedushin, and what happens by the chuppah? That there's something changed in the nature of this woman, that she becomes also like Hektish, like Taisva says at the beginning of the Masech, that she becomes forbidden to the entire world, right? Mukudeshes li. Mukudeshes Taisva explains that she's separated from the whole world as Mukudeshes, lashon of Hektish, and she's Mukudeshes li. So why is it that Nedarim is in Seder Noshim? And b'chlal, when you look in the Torah, you see in Parshas Matos that has to do with the Nedarim of the daughter and of the wife, and the koach of the hafara of the husband and the father. She's a ketana, she's a gedolah, and so on. It's very much connected to the chefza and the gavra of an ish and an ish, of a man and a woman. With that, we'll talk about it some other time. I wish everybody should have siyat d'shmayna aslach in the learning, to have a geschmack in learning, and we'll take about some other topics in the future.